Like that. The whole 3 weeks. Happiness. And I'm rolling my own cigarettes, too. And as I say, sometimes I meditate how wonderful the fantastic use I've gotten out of cheap little articles, like the Scourer. But in this instance, I think of the marvelous belongings in my rucksack, like my 25-cent plastic shaker with which I've just made the muffin batter, but also I've used it in the past to drink hot tea, wine, coffee, whiskey, and even stored clean handkerchiefs in it when I traveled, the top part of the shaker, my holy cup, and had it for 5 years now. And other belongings so valuable compared to the worthlessness of expensive things I'd bought and never used. Like my black soft sleeping sweater, also 5 years, which I was now wearing in the damp Sur summer, night and day, over a flannel shirt in the cold. And just the sweater for the night's sleep in the bag. Endless use and virtue of it. And because the expensive things were of ill use, like the fancy pants I'd bought for the recent recording dates in New York and other television appearances and never even wore again. Useless things like a $40 raincoat I never wore because it didn't even have slits in the side pockets. You pay for the label and the so-called tailoring. Also, an expensive tweed jacket bought for TV and never worn again. 2 silly sports shirts bought for Hollywood, never worn again, and were $9 each. Oi. And it's almost tearful to realize and remember the old green t-shirt I'd found, mind you, 8 years ago, mind you, on the dump in Watsonville, California, mind you, and got fantastic use and comfort from it, like working to fix that new stream in the creek to flow through the convenient deep new water hole near the wood platform on the bank and losing myself in this like a kid playing. It's the little things that count. Cliches are truisms. All truisms are true. On my deathbed, I could be remembering that Creek Day and forgetting the day MGM bought my book. I could be remembering the old lost green dump t-shirt and forgetting the sapphired robes. Maybe the best way to get into heaven. I go back to the beach in the daytime to write my C. I stand there barefoot by the sea, stopping to scratch one ankle with one toe. I hear the rhythm of those waves, and they're saying suddenly, "Is virgin you trying to fathom me?" I go back to make a pot of tea. Summer afternoon, impatiently chewing the jasmine leaf. At high noon, the sun always coming out at last, strong, beating down on my nice high porch where I sit with books and coffee. And the noon, I thought about the ancient Indians who must have inhabited this canyon for thousands of years. How even as far back as the 10th century, this valley must have looked the same, just different trees. These ancient Indians, simply the ancestors of the Indians of only recently, say 1860. How they've all died and quietly buried their grievances and excitements. How the creek may have been an inch deeper since logging operations of the last 60 years have removed some of the watershed in the hills back there. How the women pounded the local acorns or schmacorns. I finally found the natural nuts of the valley and they were sweet tasting. And men hunted deer. In fact, God knows what they did because I wasn't there. But the same valley, 1,000 years of dust, more or less, over their footsteps of 960 AD. And as far back as I can see, the world is too old for us to talk about it with our new words. We will pass just as quietly through life, passing through, as the 10th century people of this valley, only with a little more noise and a few bridges and dams and bombs that won't even last 1,000,000 years. The world being just what it is, moving and passing through. Actually all right in the long view and nothing to complain about. Even the rocks of the valley had earlier rock ancestors 1 billion years ago, have left no howl of complaint, Neither the bee or the first sea urchins or the clam or the severed paw. All sad, so is sight of the world right there in front of my nose as I look. And looking at that valley, in fact, I also realize I have to make lunch. And it won't be any different than the lunch of those olden men. And besides, it'll taste good. Everything's the same, the fog says.